Thank you so much, Senator London Lamar, Tennessee State Senator London Lamar, for being with us today, joining Higher Heights. We are so honored and blessed to have you in conversation with us today. So
Yes.
we are currently in a time in history where we're seeing history being made and being destroyed, which is like this crazy place to be. But more and more Black women are stepping up to run for elected office at all levels. Historic rights, from body autonomy to voting access and rights, are increasingly under attack. And we're seeing at Higher Heights that the way out isn't by quietly, right, going into the night, skipping the protest, or not showing up to support the policies that our candidates and our elected officials are aligned with, and we know that working families care about. That looks like donations. It looks like being vocal about policies you want to see as law, volunteering to get out the vote for Senator London Lamar for Congress, and staying active in the conversations and actions that get us to that place. And so that's why we're here. We want to hear from you, Senator Lamar, and your race to become Tennessee's ninth, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Nice.
Tennessee's ninth, the next ninth congressional member. And so let's get into it. So
Let's
Tennessee
get
is at the Yes, Tennessee is at the forefront of history, essentially being destroyed. Right now, you are running in a newly created district as a result of gerrymandering and Republicans in the state taking an axe to congressional lines. London, can you tell us about the direct impact this has caused to voters and the residents of Tennessee?
Absolutely. And I just want to say what happened in Tennessee is really not about lines on a map. It's
Mhm.
about power, it's about representation, and it's absolutely about whether communities, especially African American communities,
Yeah.
get to have a meaningful voice in Congress. And so the direct impact that voters was they're confused. Communities have been split apart. Black voting power in Memphis and Shelby County has been intentionally diluted. So people who typically share schools, churches, neighborhoods, roads, hospitals, all these local concerns are now being divided in different congressional districts for their own Republicans' political advantage. And so for me, what that means is instead of having like representation rooted in community and communities of interest, voters are literally being forced into districts that stretch far beyond communities with different shared interests and lived experiences, and are combining us together to give Republicans an unfair advantage. And what it is doing is issues impacting our community are not going to be heard. They're not going to be represented in Congress. They're going to be diluted, and our community loses someone who can articulate the specific quality of life issues we as a community are fighting for. And so this is not necessarily about being a Black district. This is about communities of interest that so happen to be an African American community. And to be the first community targeted in the United States with the decision of the Supreme Court, and people proclaiming in this fight that the goal is to dilute our voice, is an egregious and one of the grandest efforts of modern voter suppression that we will see in our lifetime. And so I don't want to be all doom and gloom. So that's
Yeah.
the exact reason why I'm running. I am a legislator who has been serving in the legislature for 8 years. I'm the youngest woman and the youngest African American ever elected in Tennessee Senate history. And I'm also the first sitting
Somebody.
senator to give birth while serving. And so when I
Mhm.
think about my childhood starting with humble beginnings, how I've been able to focus my life on true representation and giving young people a voice, giving my community a voice, and how I wanted to demonstrate what making history looks like, but also breaking through challenges to bring real representation and improve people's quality of life, I stepped up to the plate because we have an opportunity to win. Because they sliced Memphis up into 3 districts that stretch across into Middle Tennessee doesn't mean that if we do our part by registering to vote, and most importantly, mobilizing the vote, we can still make sure that we can get a good representative in Congress. And that person is London Lamar. And that's why I'm running, because my history and all that I honor for those who come before me is about making sure our community gets strong, proven representation in the United States Congress. And I'm asking my people to show up to the polls so that we can make the Republicans regret slicing Memphis and these other communities up in their decision making.
Amen. Listen, drop the mic on that one, London. I mean, I feel like that's the crux of this conversation. But to stay in that same vein, what does Senator London Lamar offer the voters right in this district as a sitting member of Congress? Like, put yourself, which I know you already have, right? Because that's a part of running. Is envisioning yourself in that seat. So, what policies would you say are at the forefront of this candidacy?
Absolutely. What you get in London Lamar is a daughter of Tennessee, a daughter of Memphis, and someone who has lived the experiences of all the negative disadvantages that my community has experienced. I was raised by a single mama when my parents divorced. I have held a job since I was 16 years old just to pay for after school activities and fund, my ability to have a better quality of life. I've been without health care insurance and had to show up to the hospital and get a fat hospital bill. I have been the statistic of the disparities around maternal health care. I have seen what it's like to have a public school system that's constantly disadvantaged. And I've built so much of my career around advancing public education. I am someone in my community who is still sitting at the kitchen table trying to figure it out. So
Yeah.
what you get in Congress with London Lamar is an advocate who understands the biggest challenges my community is facing because I'm facing them with you. And you
Yeah.
can trust me that I'm going to go to Congress and fight to make a better quality of life by pushing for more support and funding for a strong public school education so that all children, no matter rural, urban, suburban, rich or poor, black or white, have a fair chance at advocating for a better quality of life and have the education that they need. I want to expand healthcare access because I've been deemed a leader in the healthcare where Tennessee has the largest number of hospital closures in the country. I
Yeah.
want to continue to push public safety when we think about the National Guard being in our city, but also Black men in our city and other communities are being ravaged by gun violence and in a legislature that is continuing to press laws that harm communities, not help our communities rehabilitate. And when I think about all the legislation I passed, over 23 bills into law over the last 8 years in a supermajority Republican legislature, I am a proven fighter who knows how to win and knows how to advance, even if it's small wins, on the proven equality of life, justice, fairness, and opportunities and affordability for the people in my community. And on day one in Congress, I'm gonna wake up representing my community and continue the work that I started in the legislature to improve not only my district, not only the Tennessee's 9th congressional district, not only Tennessee as a whole, but the country's opportunity to have someone who wants to improve your quality of life. I am a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a partner, and I come from humble beginnings. And that is what we need, someone who truly understands the community. And that is why I'm running.
And you know what, London, I would say that this moment, we're seeing that right now with the folks who are rising up, who are winning against incumbents, who are winning open seats, even, right? We're seeing that people want to see themselves reflected in their leadership. And so hearing you say that around like you've experienced the things, you know what it's like. That's what we need. We need more people like you to run. We need more people. I really like all of us, right? Like people always say like, "Oh, I don't ever see myself running for office." I'm like, "Look, you are the perfect person to run for office because you are at the other end of the policies that we are, having to sort of navigate our lives around." But anyway, not to get back into the doom and gloom because we know it's not all about that, but just going back to the attacks a little bit. We're seeing a lot of these attacks that we already talked about. We're seeing them increasing from birthright citizenship. We also talked about, that we also know about voting rights. We talked about that for a little bit. What else as an elected official and just like thinking about this seat, you know, we know that you have to have foresight, right? You almost have to anticipate what the next thing is. What are you seeing as the next potential attack on democracy or the rights of people?
I think that the next biggest attack outside of the attack on healthcare, public education, birthright
Mhm.
citizenship, also an attack on the working class. And that is being
Mm,
able to live an affordable life. Right now, life for working class people, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Black, white, a farmer, a single mother, the family of nuclear family of four, we are all struggling to literally pay for day-to-day simple things, gas, groceries, being able to provide a job that pays an adequate salary, even if you spent all that money on a college education that's not giving you the return on the exchange. So the next biggest fight is, how do we make America more affordable by putting in policies that don't allow the rich to take advantage of our working and middle class families, getting rich on the backs of low wages, not providing health care coverages, not being able to pay their fair share of taxes, but also why are federal resources and funding not being allocated to small businesses who are opening up businesses in distressed and poor communities? Incentivize them. We need to make sure we're putting in more money so the agriculture community continues to produce the farmland in the rural
yeah,
areas, so that the grocery stores in the urban areas can provide the food at a decent price. So everybody is being able to feel the level of lowering the cost and increasing the amount of production, right? We need to make sure that we raise the minimum wage. We have to. $7.25 federal minimum wage is just absolutely ridiculous. We need to raise that to a cost that actually reflects the cost of inflation.
yeah,
I think that the affordability, the working and jobs factor is the most important issue that we have to continue to focus on beyond healthcare, education, public safety, and all the other things that we care about as well.
yeah. No, 100%. I still can't even believe that our federal minimum wage is as low as it is. But you're absolutely right. So out of the doom and gloom for a bit, you have this primary coming up next month. What support is needed as we close out this conversation, and how can this community of folks who are listening in right now, how can they help you? And then I have a couple of fun, just rapid fire questions after you answer that for us to end this conversation.
Absolutely. That's an amazing question. First, I want to tell
Mhm.
all those who are listening, I want to speak to London as a person, as the one who grew up inspired by seeing President Barack Obama walk on the stage and encouraging me that it is an opportunity to serve in government and make change. Like, that hope is what I have for my district. And that is why I'm running. I've spent the last 8 years in the Tennessee legislature fighting for working class families, public education families, public safety, all the things. And before that, I spent the last 13 years of my life since I graduated college advancing young people's representation in government, serving on every level of the Democratic Party, making sure I can work and build my career around advocacy in healthcare and public education. So I want the people to know that London isn't about the talk or the performance. She is a proven leader who has dedicated her whole life in this last 35 years that I've been alive to advancing and bringing solutions to the challenges myself and my community are feeling when it comes to being able to live in this country fairly, freely, and affordable. So in order to make sure that I can do the work for my community, I need you to donate to my campaign. Every single dollar to power this campaign is important. I'm the only woman in the race, but I am a woman who is a fighter who can win. And your investments ensures we can win this race and bring good, strong, proven representation to the 9th Congressional District, and be someone who can beat the Republican in the general and make them regret ever slicing up our district. But if you know anybody who lives in Memphis outside of donation, volunteer. We just opened our campaign headquarters this month where you can canvas, you can phone bank, you can tell a friend to tell 10 to get London in, because we are ready to work for my community. And I'm proud to have the endorsement of our current sitting Congressman, Steve Cohen, who is retiring, to endorse me for this race. And so the individual in this seat who has delivered for Memphis for the last 19 years has outwardly spoken and is investing in seeing me continue that work in United States Congress. And I want to be the first Black woman to ever represent Tennessee in the United States Congress. And I can do that with your help.
Yes, and we are so honored as Higher Heights to endorse you, London. It is truly an honor of ours. Okay, so y'all heard it here. Please support this race and follow the instructions. You can volunteer, you can donate. Please do so, so we can make history in more ways than one in
At
Tennessee.
lamarforcongress.com.
There you go. LamarForCongress.com. Okay, so let's end with just two. I have like more than two, but let's just do two
Okay.
rapid fire questions. So, what is your hype song?
Oh my gosh. Lotto's new album,
Uh huh.
Get Money
Uh huh.
or On It is, I'm turning up.
Okay, I
Lotto is
might
like,
listen to
she's my
that. Okay,
Capricorn
sure.
sister, know how to get me going.
Uh huh. Okay, I might have to check that one out. Okay, what calms you? What gives you immediate sort of calm?
I know this sounds cheesy, but I
Uh-huh.
love to put my AirPods in and put in Tony Braxton's best hit and like clean up and dance around the house. Like my girl Tony, we have me sliding with the broom and the mop getting it done. So, music is therapy for when I'm
Yeah.
feeling good and when I'm feeling bad. It heals the soul, it heals your mind, and it allows me to escape sometimes the real world.
Yeah. Well, listen, I know you got to make your way with this long commute to continue to spread the word about who you are and why you're running and why people should choose you. So we're gonna let you go, but we thank you so much, Tennessee State Senator London Lamar, who is running for Tennessee's 9th congressional district. Thank you so much again, and Godspeed to you.
Thank you all so much for the support. I love you all. Thank you.
And we love you right back.